Hello and welcome everyone to this platform. I'm Dr. Ethan Kuzi. I'm a medical officer with the Anchor for Psychiatry Hospital, and I'm glad to have you join us on this journey. I'm a co-founder and a tutor at MNEMOS. So MNEMOS is an online learning platform which is dedicated to making medical education more accessible to students in developing countries. We are targeting students, especially those who are from these developing countries and have gone to train abroad, with the intention of going back home to taking their licensing exams. So, what's the story behind this? How did the whole idea of Nemo start? So, the idea for Nemo started back in 2021 when I was doing my house job at the Kolibo Teaching Hospital. I went to medical school at the University of Ghana, completed in 2020, and started my house job in 2021. At the time, I was doing my internal medicine rotation, and I met a foreign trained student who was doing her, she had come home to do her mandatory clinical internship. One of the things I enjoyed most doing during that time of house job was taking medical students through bedside teachings. So I used to have these mini bedside teachings where I will have medical students come around, and when I'm done with my to-dos, you know how house job is very hectic, and half of the time you are doing these mechanical things. You are just moving around up and down, chasing blood, or following up on lab results, or trying to get samples for some lab test, something. You're always busy just doing something very unrelated to what you were taught in medical school. So half of the time it felt like, this was not what I went to learn in medical school. I wasn't trained to do this. You were not using the knowledge you went to learn in medical school. So I was also looking for the opportunity to exercise that brain power. So when medical students come around, I take them around, and they liked it. Each time they come around looking for me, and I'll take them through these bedside teachings, helping them crack patients, find their histories. It kept my knowledge fresh, and it also kept me reading because I needed to also update my knowledge, and it was really great. And so during these sessions, that was when I met this foreign trained student. She had come there to do a mandatory clinical internship, and she was asked to shadow one of the residents on my floor. Actually, it was a consultant she was initially asked to shadow, but the consultant did not have much time, so the consultant asked her to shadow a resident instead. And then the resident, who at the time he was a chief resident and didn't have much time, so he too didn't have much time to shadow, for her to shadow him. So most of the times she would just be by herself. And so I spoke with her, and she was like, that was the issue. She wasn't having enough time. She wasn't getting enough contact time with the resident, and she mostly just fool around and doesn't learn much. So I spoke with her, and eventually the resident actually asked her to shadow me, and that was when I started teaching her. I was mostly seen to be walking around medical students and teaching them stuff. So the resident just said, why not? She should come and shadow me. And so when I spoke with her, I tried to establish, what were the things she knew, what were the things she wanted to learn more. And her main challenge was that, there are some, differences in curriculum and all of that, and how, our systems here, things that we are taught and how things that we are supposed to know and things like that. So she wanted me to start basics before I go to clinical stuff, which was very important, because your understanding of clinical knowledge is kind of grounded in how much you understand the basics. And so what I used to do was I would take it through the basics, and then build up on there from the basics all the way up to the clinical skills. And she really liked that teaching stuff. And so that was how we started, and it became a regular session, like almost every day on the ward. After ward round, well, mostly we had one major ward rounds in the ward, but most days you have to do a round to the resident. And so mostly after that, then I do my to-dos, and then I take it around. I'm taking samples, I'm doing that, and then she's following around, she's asking questions: how do you do this, how do you do that? And then we have this dedicated teaching session where we went to the reading room, and then I had a marker, take it on the board, and then all of that. By the second week of this, two of her colleagues joined, and it was really a very it was a fun time teaching them, and they really had we enjoyed sharing knowledge. Eventually, I finished my house job, and then went to uh, my second year in the district. And she also had finished her 6 month mandatory clinical internship and went back to China to finish her medical school, and came back to write her license exams 2 years after that. And eventually she's now practicing here. She's currently doing her house job. But during that time, it kind of dawned on me that there was so much that we needed to do in terms of support for people who have trained abroad and coming home, because medicine is the same everywhere, but there are some subtle differences in terms of curriculum and how things are expected. Even in the same medical school, you meet one consultant who teaches you one thing, and then you meet a different consultant in the exams, and you say the way the other consultant taught you, and it becomes an issue because that's not how this consultant wants things said. That's not how this consultant wants things. And so you can imagine somebody who has now gotten training in a totally different country and is coming in here, and to be examined by somebody he has never met before. So I felt like there needed to be a more established support system for students who were coming back home. Just to put things in perspective, or in a better context for you, medical license exams is not only unique to it's not unique to Ghana. Ghana is not the only country where we write medical license exams. It is a standard across most countries. It is a way regulatory bodies are able to ensure that the standard of practice of medicine. So you can't just go train somewhere and come home, you give a stethoscope and you start practicing. No, we have to be ensured that everything is standards. If you go to the US, there's a USMLE. If you go to the PLAB, if you are going to the UK, there's a PLAB exams, which is now going to be called in the UK MLA and all of that. But that's a different topic on this one. But so each country, different countries have different exams or different ways of assessing people or medical doctors who are trained outside their country to ensure that these people are up to standard, or to practice in that country. So the medical and dental counseling exams conducted in Ghana is not new. It's not unique to Ghana. So, but what is different is that, unlike in the US, where you have USMLE written by both students who are trained in the US and students who are trained abroad. So in the US, they are called the IMGs, that's International Medical Graduates. That exam, the USMLE, that exam is written by both IMGs and US citizens. And so that one, everybody writes that. If you go to the UK, well, PLAB is only written by IMGs or foreign trained medical graduates. The UK medical students don't write that. What happens currently in Ghana is that each medical student write the final exams conducted by their respective school. So I went to UG, so UG in my final year conducted final exams, and that was what I wrote. Once you pass the exams, you are done. You get inducted into the medical profession, you get a professional license, you start house job, and that's how you start climbing the ladder. If you went to KUSC, or if you go to KUSC, the same thing. So KUSC have their exams they conduct for their final year medical students. UCC has their final exam they conduct for their final year students. UHAS, UDS, all the medical schools, all the medical schools in Ghana conduct their separate final exams for their medical students. Now, the difference when you compare all these forms of testing students is that, one, in the US, when you take the US for instance, it's much easier to access material when you are trying to go into the US to practice. You can sit in your home country and have all the materials you need to prepare for the exams. There's tons of material. You have there's Face 8, there's Amboss, there's Boards and Beyond, there's Lecturo, there's Patoma, like name all of them. Like there are plenty of materials. You don't have to go to the US to now start looking for, hey, what material should I use to prepare for these exams? Where are the questions, past questions to revise? Do I have to go to the US, go and attend extra classes? And no. Don't get me wrong, going to the US, you can go and get US clinical exams, US clinical experience, which is very good and plays a significant role in helping you secure, or in helping you basically skill residency program, which is good. But you don't necessarily have to go there to access the material to write the exams. You can write step 1 in your home country, you can write step 2 CK in your home country, and of course you can now go to US to go and get clinical experience, to help with your chances of matching. But the point is that it's so easy to get materials while still in your home country. You don't have to relocate. You don't have to go and attend any extra classes. Of course, these materials, some of them are free, some of them too are paid. Take for instance UWorld, which is like very common, very popular among students who are trying to write these exams. Very expensive, but it's accessible. Accessible as in it's readily available if you have the money. Of course, if you are going to write PLAB exams, it's the same thing. You can sit in your home country, get the materials, prepare for PLAB, and write. PLAB 2 is somehow different because you have to go to the UK to write it. But PLAB 1, you can sit in your home country, access the materials, and write. It's different for the medical and dental exams in Ghana. First, before now the requirement is that which is now the new requirement, you now have to do compulsory 6 months internship before you qualify to register for the exams. Totally fine. But the materials, like the resources to help you revise for that exams, the written part of the exams, most people don't get those resources. Like, you have to come home, you have to know somebody who has written the exams, who knows someone who wrote it, and so like everything is so clandestine. Like you have to know somebody who knows someone, and then they're now sharing the things. And this is not just only with the MDC exams. This happens with the primaries. I recently wrote the primaries. It was the same thing. So you have to know somebody who wrote. I was writing for psychiatry, so we were now looking for which people wrote psychiatry exam last year, and then they will now direct you to so and so, and so and so directs you to so and so, and then they now share the materials with people. Like, why is it so difficult to access the materials? Like, the exams, writing the exams is daunting. Like, preparing for it should be easy. Like, give me the materials and let me read. I'm not asking you to go and write the exams for me, but even getting the materials to read becomes an issue. Why? Like, why? So it's not only with the MDC exams, the primaries is the same thing. Like, they are not readily available materials. And so that is what this platform is for. That is why this platform was started. It is started to make sure that these materials are readily available to students, those training abroad and coming back home. You don't have to wait till you come home before you start revising for the exams. No. A recent survey that we did, most of the students, like 99% of the students who are finishing next year, responded no, that they haven't started to prepare for the exams. This is like students who are finishing like next year and they are coming home to start preparing, but they haven't started preparing for the exams. So you can imagine like somebody who wants to take USMLE next year, and then as of now they have not even started preparing. But it's not because they don't want to pass the exams, because the materials are not there. Currently you have to come home to get it. Why? No, that's not. It's outdated. That's not how things should be done. These materials should be made available. So this platform is started to democratize, to make available this knowledge. Every student, wherever you are trained, should have access to that knowledge. Come next year, there's information on the MDC side that says that next year the exams will be general for all students, both students trained in Ghana and those trained abroad. Well, let's level the playing ground. Let everybody have access to the same materials. So we are making that available on our platform, and we are doing that through videos where we do lecture videos on high yield topics. We make available MCQ questions for you to also practice whilst you are reading through and watching these videos on these topics. There are also preparatory materials to help you. Of course, the clinical skills is good when you're when you're back home. You are going through the world and actually seeing people, observing people do things, and examining people by yourself. So when you come home, we have recommendations of facilities that, per our survey, people have recommended, because we have done a survey that also showed that people have given recommendations and ratings of hospitals that they've done clinical internships at. So we use this information to recommend facilities that are best suited for you, to be able to equip you in your clinical skills. So that's what this platform is basically for, democratizing that knowledge. And this is not just only going to cover MDC exams, it's going to cover, we are going to have materials to on the primaries. So you don't have to now get up and be looking for who wrote primary slides here. Can I get the resources from them? No, that's why the internet is there. Like these materials should be readily available. It's free. It should be available and made, readily accessible to everybody. So I'm glad you guys are joining us on this journey, and we hope to make this platform a one-stop platform for every student, whether you are training here in Ghana or you are training abroad, to have all the materials that you need in preparing for any exams in your medical school or in your primaries. Now, in addition to the learning platform, we have a podcast which is dubbed NEMOS Med School and Beyond. Basically, on this podcast, we discuss topics that we wish we knew, things we thought we wish we knew back in medical school, mentorship, like research opportunities, things like that, like decisions on residency programs. Should I do residency in the first place? Sometimes you finish and some people don't even want to do clinical medicine, but we don't know the options. What are the other options? If I don't want to do clinical medicine, what can I use my degree for? Things like that, So we'll be we'll be interviewing people, experts, people in the clinical field, people who are not in the clinical field, for them to share their experience and advice on how to navigate some of these decisions. And this is open to everybody, all medical students, early career medical doctors, people who are trying to go into residency, who are already in residency. We're bringing them in to share their experiences and things like that. So if currently the podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, you can check it out. It's NEMOS Med School and Beyond. NEMOS Med School and Beyond. You can also find it on Podbean on our website, and also on our website on NEMOS, the learning platform. You can also access it there, and subscribe to it and stay tuned for these updates. So yeah, I'm glad you guys are joining us on this journey, and we'll keep you posted on the new developments and anything that comes up. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and share with your colleagues. All right, thank you.